How can we write unit test and integration test to cover almost every line we write or every if conditions that we have, covering all possible branches and all possible lines that we have? That's basically the idea of this video. We're gonna be trying to help you guys out in order to make sure that every time you write any code, you make it testable enough. So yeah, so I just wanted to show you the development part because this is something should be given to you, and we're gonna be focusing more on the unit test. We have a controller. This controller is responsible for two actions: saving or creation of a new house, and getting all the houses that we have. Uh, the controller communicates with our service. This service is responsible for creating our own house and then saving it normally through our repository, and we eventually return the DTO that's being saved. And other method is just find all, which returns the all the houses that we have. For the repository, it's just empty interface. The model that we have is just address and location, and we have some unique identifier. The DTO is also the same. We have for the request we have address and location, response address location ID, and with the mapper is just map struct, which is kind of straightforward. I just removed one import here that convert house to house response DTO. That's basically our project. Let's see, if you run it right now, it should be up here and running. Yeah, also I forgot to mention that we have simple validation in this one here at valid. So we need just both of those to not be blank. So if we try it now to, let's say, get all stuff, we're gonna be empty. If we're gonna be sending one, the ID is saved. If we return it, also be saved, which is gonna be nice. Let's say anything country, let's say DC. See if it's gonna be happening. Okay, so now we should be expecting two. That's perfect. So this is also Postgres database, by the way. I am running Docker right here, and Docker has actually it's in Docker Compose that you can view it. Yeah, it's kind of Postgres of version 16, and those are the data that we have, and this is some volumes that we inserted. Basically, I just made Docker Compose up, and now it's up and running. And yeah, just to prove the point here, so I have create and drop. I'm just gonna put update here, and I'm gonna put this up project. I'm not sure if it's gonna be dropping the columns or not, but hopefully create drop doesn't really do drop our table. Now it should be running. Yes, let's rerun. Unfortunately it cleaned up this our stuff, so let me just repeat the action before again, and I'm gonna put California. And yeah, now let's shut our application and rerun it again. Next time we get all houses, we should be having our two houses that we provided. So let's try it. Yes, okay, so now I have restarted our application and our data are still persistent. Okay, so that's basically our code so far. So what's happening next? We're gonna be need to cover almost everything. Every line we have written here, we need to cover it. Controller, house, service, whatever we have, we need to cover it. So how can we do this? First, we're gonna need to make something a bit clear here. It's not like always you're gonna be able to unit test everything through logical sequence of events. You sometimes you can mock events, and we're gonna show it later in this video. So what we're gonna be trying to do, we're gonna be trying to mimic the the main packages that we have. So basically we have com example demo, we have com example demo, we have controller, model, repository, service, mapper. All those are under the umbrella of demo. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put a main package for our controller. The controller one is gonna be an integration test covering all the sequence of events that we have. So I want to mock the call of the, let's say, the specific API for the post or the specific API for the get. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put two integration tests, one for adding new house, I test, or let's call it tests, because there are multiple tests. And I'm also gonna be getting all houses, getting all houses, and this is also an integration test. Yes, this is double I. Let me remove one I. And yeah, I forgot a double T here. Yes. Okay, so now we have two integration testing. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the active profile here. I want it to be JUnit. And why specifically JUnit? Because we have a repository, we have a database. Actual database we have is Postgres, and in unit tests you don't really have the option to have Postgres here. You can actually run Docker while in your own environment, and you have some kind of Docker container running next to your project while you're running, for example, your CI/CD pipeline. But to be honest, I don't really think this is always possible. Um, some companies might help that, might allow that. Some companies might not. So what we can do in order to make this, we can add our own um, in-memory database like H2. So it can run in memory. It doesn't really need an external source or external volume in order to be persistent. So what I'm gonna do now, we have a resource also under the main package here. And now we have test and Java without resource. So let's create our resource here. And yeah, this is a Maven resource. And the Maven resource, what we're gonna do is application. The dash and the word that's coming after the dash is gonna be the profile that we have. So we mentioned it's gonna be JUnit. Unfortunately, I forgot to give it the extension, which is YAML. So now this is the YAML that we're gonna be having, and I have already given it like this one here. So I'm gonna copy it. It's basically we're telling it, hey, it's gonna be an H2 memory database. It's gonna be for the name of the database whatsoever. We're trying to mock the behavior of the Postgres, so we have allowed of Postgres mode. But basically, if you remove it, it will also work fine. There are some like recommendations that are generated from ChatGPT. You can keep it, you can remove it. It doesn't really make much, but you can remove it or keep it. It doesn't really matter. So what's important here? We want to I specify the drivers that we have H2. Also, we need to specify the dialect, which is like the way of communication with SQL that is just generate the SQL queries. It's gonna be H2 dialect, and this is a DDL upload create drop, which is basically you're creating the database upon launching the Spring Boot context, and you're dropping it as long as when the application dies, basically. So yeah, that's basically the idea. We have some kind of logging. It doesn't really matter. We have also enabled the logs to be presented here. So yeah, that's basically our JUnit. And now, actually, we don't really need this as well, but I'm just gonna keep it here. Now let's get back to get all houses, which is our first integration test. So what I'm gonna do now. First, I'm gonna try to auto wire here for something called mock MVC. Mock MVC is something that gonna give you a bit of flexibility here when you're trying to work with controller. So I'm gonna be putting a test. This test is gonna be, let's say, when getting all houses, it should be empty. By the way, there is some kind of behavior like when then, that's like a common naming. So many types of naming, you can choose whatever feels suitable to you. So I want to, when I get all the houses, it should be empty. So what I'm gonna do, it's gonna be performing some kind of operation. So let's say I usually get like get or post. Yes, this one. Yeah, I think I needed to add the dependency here. Yeah, so I'm gonna add the dependency here. I believe this one includes what we need. So I'm gonna add the dependency for the starter test. You just need to make sure that I haven't really included before. Okay, so So yeah, now I should be ready. So let's see, is it ready or not? It is not here for some reason. So basically, you get like the get method or post method and this kind of stuff when you're performing um some kind of action. So for some reason, it does not really work as expected. So let's see if I'm actually specifying the valid. Yes, that's basically the valid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna Google like who or it actually. Let's ask ChatGPT. What can we see with get requests? That's basically what I'm gonna do. That's and he's gonna make our own amazing test. So yeah, that's basically. So what is the import that we have, or um, what is the imports or dependencies? So that's basically what we need to know, because that's what we're missing. Okay, so we have this one here, and it provides us with what we want to do. So okay, so what is this one? Okay, so we're gonna just import this one, and this should be working, right? Okay, so basically it worked for some reason, but when I was importing, it was not. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna dash API, and what was the directory of our this one API houses? That's basically was our boss. Okay, so now when we get in and do what here, like this is I think do can we can print I'm pretty sure there is a way to print maybe and return. This returns the object that we have, which is move MVC result. Let me just throw generic exception in order to ignore this one here, and we can also print, but let me just assert on something here. We want to and expect this bit different than expected. I'm not sure this is a new version or not, but I think there is. And yeah, and expect here, yes. And now we need to make sure of something like for example what we are expecting. So we're not gonna be expecting this one here. I think the format is gonna be something like this one. I somehow I think so. Result matcher, yes, this one JSON pass, and this one here. And why are you not satisfied? Like, and aren't you this one here? Like, I think just boss is the one that's gonna be responsible for this one. This one, yes, supposedly this one here, and okay, yes. So we have already imported this JSON post. So and return. So what is the point here? Cast argument result matcher. It is really kind of weird that we are kind of forced to do this result matcher. So I'm not sure why mock MVC matcher. Why do we need this mock MVC result matcher? JSON post, and for some like this one is some kind of a mock here. So like why does it happen? I'm not sure, to be honest. It should be like fine. If it's not fine, then this is kind of weird. But yeah, okay. So now we're just gonna be done here. This is basically what we're gonna be expecting. We're gonna be expecting an empty array. for some reason we need to explicitly cast it, but it shouldn't really happen, and it should fail because this mock is null, and this is basically working fine because we haven't really identified that it's gonna be Spring Boot project, because we need to launch this within some kind of context. This is Spring Boot. So now let's see. Okay, so cannot unsatisfied when through auto word. So yes, so basically we need to have, I think, there is some annotation. Yeah, auto configure mock MVC, yes, and there we can add. I think this one works. I believe so. Let's try it. This is responsible for making our mock MVC available. I'm pretty sure about this one. Okay, so we have sent the request, and the response of our body is empty, which is fine, but it couldn't really parse our data, which is unfortunate, invalid pass. So since I'm not sure how can we write this one. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take it to ChatGPT. Hey, I should be expecting an empty array as a response. Is that right? That's basically what I'm gonna be doing, because yeah, okay, so maybe I'm saying it wrong. Okay, so I'm not sure what's happening. So JSON pass is an array, JSON pass. Okay, so basically we're gonna be saying, hey, this is like the content that we have, and it's gonna be is empty. Okay, yes, that makes huge sense. Okay, so basically we're parsing the result that we have, and we're gonna make sure that hey, it's empty. So if we run it now, it should be successful, hopefully, right? If it's not successful, then it's gonna be ugly. Okay, nice. And also in expect status to be we can is 800 successful. It's so generic, so I'm just gonna put HTTP status to get what's on called okay, I think, right? Okay, it's okay 200. I keep forgetting the value. Let's put the value here. Yes, status 200. Okay, right? Okay, it's okay. So I my brain is still functioning as fine. Okay, so now we have status okay. We have the response is empty. So now this is a very basic one. So what happens here? What should we do when we add, like, for example, a new one, like when we save a new object? So we need our repository. So we have repository here, which is called houses repository. House repository, repository. Yes. Okay. And now let's see another test. I'm gonna name it similar when getting all houses, then return available houses. That's basically we're gonna be expecting. I'm also gonna put throws exception, some generic, because I don't really want it to suffer or give me some kind of compilation error. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna put houses to save, and I'm gonna create some entity here. So houses to builder to build like a location. The location is gonna be, let's say, Canada, and address is Toronto. And now I'm also gonna put it outside here, so house 1. So now we have saved a house, and if we run this application right now, it should fail because now we have already one house, so it shouldn't really be empty. This is not right. Perfect, because supposedly we get a response of our body, which is this one here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna also put another house. Let's call it house 2. House 2 is gonna be USA gonna be, let's say, Washington DC. So this is the address for the second house, and now we're gonna be expecting a whole path of this kind of two. um so what I'm gonna do, to be honest, because I don't know the pattern to be this one, most probably it's gonna be something like this one here, and you're gonna be iterating across all those, but I don't really know the syntax. So what I'll remember the syntax to be more specifically here. So what I'm gonna do here is, hey, I'm gonna be asking ChatGPT, hey, this one here, I want to expect array of two elements, and give me this key value, and I'll double or I'll change that. That's basically what I'm gonna be doing. So yeah, that's basically what he's gonna be doing. But this approach isn't really something that I'm interested, because this is like some kind of hard coded. Can I loop through like this one? I know there is a way to loop it, but I don't really know the syntax. Yeah, not and expect, which is basically fine. Like you have this one here, and that's basically just fine. So I'm gonna copy this one here, and yeah, let's do our iteration here. So what I'm gonna do, what happens here is we're gonna be expecting is okay, which is fine, and I'm gonna return the result. We're parsing the result as a JSON, and we also need a JSON mapper in order to become some kind of node. This is some kind of assertion. This is the expected number that you have. We can also, to be honest, we can also since our logic here to find all dot count, I think we have count all, right? Yes, the count itself, like it will give me like all elements count. That's basically all our elements count. We're gonna do it now, and yes, since now we're kind of validated that our root has the size that we need, now we can assert on the value that we have. Also, it's already smart to get some kind of value that we have. So now we can actually, I'm not gonna assert not equal, I'm gonna assert is that I believe is better than I'm not sure, I get confused because there are so many stuff. So house dot get id is gonna be is equal to the id of the first one. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put this one here in a list of house 1, house 2, this one, perfect. So now I'm gonna do something very nice here. Instead of house repository saving it one by one, I'm gonna list all those, and I'm gonna put this into list of houses. And yeah, and great. So now what I'm gonna do is houses get id is gonna be list or not is equal to list of houses get I dot get id. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the same for address and location. And location get address get location. And unfortunately, since it's automatic generated, I think I need to specify the unique identifiers here, and yeah, I don't really need this. And voila. So why are you claiming like incompatible size get id? I'm pretty sure it's supposedly to be working. Like this is why you're making it like this one, as or as long here. Okay, so this is the way. But let's try this one without really making this kind of casting and see if it's gonna be working fine. Great. If it's not, well, then we're gonna be putting the explicit casting here. Okay, now it's gonna be loading. Okay, for some reason it failed due to, hey, rows already updated, house, and I'm not sure why. Let's rerun again. Okay, maybe the IDs are not really the best scenario here. So what I'm gonna do now, so I'm gonna remove this and let's see if it's gonna be working fine or not. Let's ignore this ID eventually, but supposedly, but you really need to unit test this ID. So okay, so expected was 1, actual was 1. Like, how did you identify the IDs? Like, let's do it like as long now and see if it's gonna be working fine. To be honest, I would be surprised if it worked because we don't have IDs. Like, how did how did identify the IDs? Okay, for how did it get IDs? I have no idea. So now for this one, it's gonna be as string, and this one is also gonna be as string. Currently, it compares like the references for the string, which isn't really what we want. But how does it identify it? Hmm, I'm a bit confused one is because the ID itself, like how does it know that the list of houses ID? I want to debug this point because this is confusing to me. Because for me, list of houses is gonna be null. So I don't really have values here. So what I'm gonna do? This is my list of houses. ID one. Okay, maybe Hibernate already generates this one for us. I know it does this approach while saving, but we're creating the list here. So this is what confuses me. Like uh, like at this point of time, I'm just teaching a bit of debugging here because this is a bit confusing to me. Okay, so what happens here on the next step? We have a list of houses which is immutable. Right now the IDs are null. This is the main point that I'm talking about. So now how does it able to reference those IDs and update them? How? That's basically what I'm doing. So after saving them, they become some kind of values. That's basically we have it identity here. So this identity, I know it's gonna be a unique identifier, but it's not gonna be automatically assigned. That's basically the part that confuses me. But yeah, okay. So for some reason it works. Great. So now I want to show you something. I'm gonna remove this one here. Yeah, let me just ignore this as well. So now, uh, great. So now I want to run both tests and see how it's gonna be working fine. You will most probably see them pass. Great. So what happens here if I just put this unit test up high and rerun the project, rerun the 2 unit tests again. Let's see. Hopefully it works. Both of them works, which is really, really nice. And this is the one something I did not really expect. Why? Because the order really matters here, and we're not 100% sure what kind of unit test should be running before. Because if we try to run this unit test and then we try to run this unit test, and let me show you how using, for example, test suits. I think there is some kind of test suits that or order. Yeah, I think there is order. Let's make it here. And do we have order here? Order. Yes, one. Let's give it this order first, and now let's rerun the project again, and it should run this project this unit test first. It did not really run it. Let me give the second order explicit here, order of 2. And if it's still the same, then I don't really know why it's happening this one here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do something very amazing and very nice, which is basically I'm gonna remove this one here. I'm gonna rerun this integration test. I want to prove a point here, or actually, let me just ask ChatGPT to make something here. How to make unit test run in a specific order? Like I know there is some kind of ordering that's happening now. Let's try to run the whole project. Now it should be running this one first, supposedly. It should be. Let's see. I actually did not. I'm not sure, but anyway. Like didn't I say? Oh yes, this is method that I forgot just to add it. Okay, so now let me import both classes and method order. Yes. Now let's rerun. Now it should be running in this specific order. And yes, what happened here now is has failed. Why? Because when it tried to get, we find out, hey, this is a response that we have due to the fact that the previous method that was running saved this object. This is due to the fact that, hey, this is a planking unit test. This is or integration test to be more specific. This is not right, and you shouldn't really have this um, happening during your application or unit test basically. Why? Because in each unit test or each integration test should be independent, should be really be dependent on the previous unit test. So what we do here, we want to before each to setup. Let's call it setup. This setup is gonna be responsible for cleanup, delete all. I want to delete everything, and I want to also after all or after all I want to clean up, and the cleanup is gonna be house repository delete all as well, um, and it should be giving with static, and this is gonna be making a problem because this is not a static. So what I'm gonna do is instead of using after all, I'm gonna use after each, or you're gonna need some kind of test instance, I believe, and you need it to give it like class per class, and then it's gonna be, I believe it's gonna be working after all, right? Yeah. So if you give it like this kind of approach, it's gonna be working fine with after all. So you can either do this approach, or you make it like after each. For me, since I know this is a solution already, so I'm just gonna do this one here. And if we try to run the application right now and see, it should be working. Why? Because after running this unit test, it's gonna be removing this one, and before also running the second unit test, we're gonna be also cleaning this one here. So yeah, that's basically what we're gonna be doing. Actually, since we made it after all, it's not gonna be clean up. It's gonna be cleaned up before the unit test. So before this unit test, it's gonna be cleaning up through our setup methods. And when we're trying to run the second integration test, we're gonna be also deleting through the before each setup method. And after completing all the unit tests that we have, then we're gonna be just deleting everything through the cleanup method. Okay, so that's basically what we're gonna do. So let me remove the orders because now we don't really need it. And yeah, what else do we need? So currently we have tested our house repository, our house controller post method, not post get. We had retrieved. This is kind of straightforward. Now we're gonna be creating. So what I'm gonna be doing here is we need to have some unit tests here, but in order to make sure that we have covered everything that we have, we need to make sure that every line we have for getting the houses that we have should be covered completely. So how can we identify this? We can identify this using something called Jakuku, and unfortunately Jakuku is not available by default. So what I'm gonna do now, I want Jakuku dependency or plugin. I think it's a plugin. In order to get coverage report in Java Spring Boot. That's what I'm gonna do. Like it's kind of straightforward. It's gonna give you some kind of dependency, or plugin. Yeah, this is a plugin. I'm gonna take it, and now I'm gonna add it in our plugin project. Here where are the plugins? Okay, so I'm gonna be adding this one here. I'm gonna reload this one here as well. Supposedly it should be working or reading. Great. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put something called clean, and then I'm gonna put the package. Package is basically you're packaging the whole project in order to be executable, which in our case is jar. And you're putting all that work in some folder called target. This target is a very nice target, and for some reason it fails for some kind of stuff that I'm not sure why, but hopefully it does not really packing in way. But it's for some reason they failed to execute goal, and the goal is I'm not sure one is failed in analyzing whatever unsupported class measure. Yeah. So let's see the target file. If it's available there, then this is amazing. Okay, so generated source. Alright, so it didn't really generate our coverage report. So we're gonna be needing to identify what's happening. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put configuration. I want to edit configuration here, and let's add a new JUnit. It's gonna be I want to have, or actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna execute maven package dash x. Now let's see. This is gonna be creating our package, and yes, so what's the problem here we have? We're making it dash x to give us more context to identify what's happening, and supposedly it should be like, okay, so now this is unsupported file measure. I'm not sure still what's the problem. Okay, so there's some kind of error. You're not able to access this file because this file is for some reason. Okay, so this is the main point. This an error while reporting, error creating report, which is basically fine, but I still don't really identify like what is really the main reason. For more, I have some kind of bit of idea that maybe this is something related to Java or in the new Spring Boot upgrade. So what if the coverage is low? Could it really be this problem? Hmm. It fails the build if the coverage is low. This is just a conditional in order to make sure that we need to match for the specific coverage. But I'm not gonna edit right now. It's a kind of a rule here. And let's see if it's gonna be working fine. But from my point of view, I feel like it's mostly related to some kind of version, maybe because it's like a newer version of Java, and it doesn't really work as expectedly. Okay, so basically it tells you fix this upgrade by. Okay, let's instead of this one here, I'm just gonna put Jakuku version maybe, and basically get the latest version and let me live my life here. Okay, so we have 0.812. This is the most people use, and we can use this one here 0.814. I'm gonna use the 8.14 just for the sake of, hey, this is the newest one, and hopefully it's gonna be enough for us to work here. Yeah, this is why you don't really make big changes in your project, because not all packages or plugins are gonna be moving at the same speed as like the speed of the project. Okay, so now it's gonna be building some kind, or actually downloading. Oh, I'm not sure what the hell are you downloading, but hopefully you're not downloading some kind of. Then okay, amazing. So it generated some kind of report. Where is the coverage report? It should generate some. coverage. Okay. Why is there is no coverage report here? I think there's always a report file. This report file should be, yeah, this is, yeah, it is saved inside. So I should have made it explicit here, because you can explicit the path. So it's available inside here. So now if we open it in our browser, Chrome, let's open it. You will find that, hey, in the controller, you have house controller. Get all is 100% covered, but the post is not really covered. This is for controller. Let's get the service. If you open the service, you'll find, hey, the find all method is covered and create is not covered. Okay, great. So now if you open what is the mapper that we have, you will find that two error response. This is not covered because this is a map struct and we're not gonna be like using this one here. Okay, so basically this gives you an indication of what is missing and what's not. For example, this one is the main. Currently, hey, what you're testing is you're not really testing anything here. So those are basically the lines that we need to cover. So 33 of 77 are remaining. This is a missed instruction. Okay, so what's next is we need to cover the create one. So this is the remaining part. Let's do similar actions. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna copy those and I'm gonna paste them here as a basic idea. And yeah, I need also those ports. And yes, so now we need to, when we, I'm actually gonna put this one here because this is one bigger, but it's not when getting all, when creating new house, then return list of created house. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be creating a new house. I'm from Egypt, so I'm gonna put my location Egypt, and the address is gonna be Alexandria because I'm from Alexandria, Egypt. So this is the house that we're gonna be creating, and I don't really need to put a list of house here. Actually, I'm gonna put it here, and yeah, this is all elements count. Do we really need it? I don't really think of it, so but I'm gonna just put it here. So now it's gonna be post, not get. A status is completed, and also expect the response. I think response. Or, let me use a similar approach as before since I'm not aware of syntax just yet. Okay, so this is basically the JSON that we have, and the JSON that we have, it's gonna be just single one object. So upon that we, like when we insert it, we get this kind of JSON. So we're gonna be using something a bit similar. So yeah, it's gonna be JSON here. JSON is object, not array. Like we have so many objects or type, but it's gonna be is objects. And yes, I'm not sure it's gonna be considered Peugeot. Like is Peugeot considered? I know Peugeot is something here. It's kind of. Let me try it. I don't really think. I know it's just an object, but is Peugeot like it's from its point of view, like it's an object? I'm not sure. I'm just gonna keep it this one here, and it's not really an array, so on account we don't really need it. Let's remove it, and now we're not gonna be needing it. And the JSON node get we know that it's gonna be the root, so basically the root is our house. So what I'm gonna do, house, or to be more specific, saved house, and we don't really need this one here. And yeah, so what should we do? Like we should be name it like saved house here, get location, and it's gonna be the first element. And of course it's gonna make, since you're using static, get first, and get first. Okay. And let's run this unit test and see if it's gonna be working. It's suppose it should be, like why shouldn't really it work? Maybe it would fail at this point, but Let's see. Does the status is not working? Like why? Why would you be? Okay, so yeah, I understood why. Because we didn't really put the body here, so we need the body. Um, yeah, the body contents. I think there is a way to provide the body here, but I don't really remember what is the keyword here. Yeah, since I keep forgetting what I'm gonna do, simple and straightforward. Like ChatGPT, give me a post with a body in mock MVC. That's basically what I'm gonna be doing. It's do we really need something? Git. He has a content like this one here. The content is gonna be house one. That's basically our content. And to um, I don't really think we need the object mapper to map it in a string. I'm not sure how can we map those two, the object to byte. So this is what I'm gonna be doing. So let's see ChatGPT how it's gonna be working fine. Okay, this is the basic this one, but we need the object mapper. Yeah, this is the better approach from my perspective. Yes, object mapper. This is making more sense to me. So I'm gonna put the house one, and this is object mapper, and you can put the object mapper here and this one here, and that's basically what's gonna be working just fine. Yes. Okay. Um, that's basically what should do solve this issue. I believe so. And now, if we run it, so it should be working. Why it's not really working? And okay, so it's 415. Isn't 415? Yeah, it's because of the content. Um, accept it's gonna be application legislation, right? This one should be working. Like, yeah, you keep forgetting things like this, even so it's very basic stuff. Like, how can you make some kind of request that doesn't really work and doesn't accept this JSON format? Okay, still, how it does it really fail? Like, this doesn't really HTTP media type application octet is not supported. This doesn't really make sense because the request that we provided here, we give it like header um, of our media type. So what is the response that we have? Okay, so the header that we have is application slash JSON. Okay, since the problem most probably is gonna be related to this one, I'm just gonna put it here. Accept and the content. Oh yeah, this one here, the content type as well. So we didn't really provide the content type. We provided the accept. We didn't really provide the content type. So how come we forgot this type? What is the media type? Let me copy this one here. Just paste it. Both of them are the same, but for some reason, media type is not really working with me. But I don't know why. This one is what for the request? Let's see, does it fail? Okay, so perfect. We bypass this one approach. So now we need to assert only on each object. That's basically what we're gonna be needing to do. And now we have created a new house, which is basically what we're gonna be doing. So we don't really care about the ID, or do we? Like we have address Alexandria and ID 2, location 2. Should we really care about the ID here? I don't really think so. We don't. It's kind of unique identifier, so we don't really care about the ID. That's why you can go with address and locations. That's basically it. So now the unit test is passed. Great. So perfect. So what is remaining? So let's run the package and see what is still missing. So you don't really need to run anything else. You just need to make sure that hey, it's kind of building right and correctly. We have 4 run paths. Now let's refresh it. Okay, great. Create its coverage. Now we have 90% coverage here. What is remaining is this one, testing guaranteed, the main. I'm not sure how can we test it, and the mapper. So let's begin with the mapper here. The mapper is straightforward. What's remaining here is one of the 2 branches is missed. What we're talking about, this is a branch. What happens when the house is null? So let's do this one here. And like we said, we needed to make sure that the package structure is the same. So this mapper is within the mapper within the service. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the service. I'm gonna also put the mapper. And now I need to put house mapper test. So it's gonna be house mapper test, yes. And this is gonna be we can think of it like, yeah, it's unit test, not integration test at all. We have what house mapper, and yeah, house mapper, it's gonna be new of house mapper implementation. And by the way, this one is available here. You might find you didn't really create the implementation here, but do you know which one created the implementation for you? This is the one that created the implementation for you. This is like something internally Spring does for you in order to create your own implementation through through the annotation that you just provided, which is for using MapStruct. This is the way of creation, and I want to show you this one here. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put another test here. This is kind of simple test. When null house mapper, then return null. That's basically what I'm gonna be asserting. So I'm gonna be assert null, the assertion of null that hey, if house mapper dot to response null, it's gonna be returning null. And if we try to run this this unit test right now, it's gonna be pausing and it's gonna be running way too fast. Let's run whole project that we have. What is remaining? Let's see if it's gonna be covered or not. Hopefully it gets covered. And we're waiting. Yeah, it should be fast. Yes, great. Okay, so now it's covered. All the 2 branches are covered. This mapper is done. So now what's remaining is 5 out of 77, which is basically our testing guaranteed. So I need to know what can we do. So we have this unit test. Do we really need to unit test this one here? But for example, this one I don't know. How can we test this in our project? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do simple act and ask ChatGPT, how can I unit test this? Is it really approachable here? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put assert true and say is context ready, and actually is that actually is first, supposedly it's ready, and yes, and boolean is context ready. It's just gonna be true, and yeah, I don't really need this true. So what? Why are you mad? Assert true. Assert that let's just use whatever, it doesn't really matter, is true. And yeah, let's see what happens here. The standard context load. This is a kinetic Spring Boot test. If the application fails, start in the failed test. So basically it covers it, but for some reason it is not ready. So maybe our assertion here is make enough, maybe we don't really know. So what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be running our project and see if it covers it, great. If it's not, we're gonna be looking into a different different way. Like, is there something else that we need to do in order to make sure that this project is runnable and completed or not? So yeah, let's refresh it here and see it's still not working. Okay, so what is making it not working? So maybe this one here, we just gonna be taking it and let's see if it's gonna be working or not. We don't really need this one here. Assert do not through configurable application context, and now we're running this application and let's see. Let's rerun the unit test itself if it's gonna be working or not. Okay, currently it's loading and it's running just fine. Now let's package and see how it's gonna work. It should be working fine as expectedly, and since we're already wasting time to cover this specific line, which is almost useless, almost doesn't really care about this one, you don't really want to invest so much time writing unit tests into something that doesn't really make sense here. Let's run it. It's still not covered. So for some reason it is not covered, and for some reason you wouldn't really need to spend time running or covering up this unit test. For some reason, why does it fail? I have no idea. It doesn't really make sense that it fails. So what I'm gonna do, this is something, since ChatGPT didn't really help here, and our way of standard test context did not really cover. This gives you like some indication that there's something missing, or something that you're really not able to identify, and it doesn't really make sense that you're gonna. How can you not test this itself? Like, is the remaining unit test that you or integration test that we have, for example, the controller, it has a Spring Boot test. It has it, like it already it works fine with it. So what makes this a case? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be using Google. Like, I'm gonna be using application unit test, and I want to use different people opinion. Like, why is not, like, for example, he's now let's see what's gonna be happening here. This is my application. My application, for some reason, this overkill. Okay, so basically this is a workaround. Let's try it and see if it's gonna be working or not. I don't really want to invest much time into a unit test that doesn't really look logical. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this one here. It's gonna be main, testing main for some reason, and it should be what, nothing. Yes, and what had happened, failed to failed to start the bin. This is basically because we're creating this one here, and what? So should we make it like this is a bit simpler, so let's use it. I didn't really want to assert, for example, you can assert throws. This is a way in order to make sure that you're some kind of asserting, but I didn't really want to do this one here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this one here, and let's see what's gonna work. It's gonna be working fine or not. Let's do it now, and yes, hopefully it works, because I don't really want to invest much time into this. Okay, so it pause, of course, that really makes sense, and I'm gonna package to hopefully get it completed. And there's some kind of unit tests that, for example, it's not gonna be working fine every single time. That for me, it looks a bit weird. So okay, so now we got it covered, which is amazing. So now we have covered everything. We have covered every branch we have. We have completed everything, 100% covered regarding the branches, the lines and branches as well. So now you're ready to try it out, to test it out. This is regarding the integration stuff and inserting like the configuration that you need in order to make sure that you have everything right. In order to make sure your your code is completely testable. But there's something that I wanted to show you before ending this video, because I feel like it's kind of important. So what I'm gonna do now is, in the house servers that we have, it's gonna be do something here. uh, it's gonna be, just for the sake of explanation, I'm gonna make an interface. This interface is gonna be different API call, or I'm just gonna limit it in different API. This different API is gonna be having a method. Let's call it public. It should be public by default. And it's gonna be returning a boolean is valid, or is valid house or not. Let's just call it here, and we're gonna put the let's call it the address. That's basically what we're gonna be putting, the address, and that's basically what we're gonna be doing here. Now we're gonna be putting private final different API, and it's gonna be different API. So now I want to make sure something. If or actually I'm gonna put is valid house equal different API is valid house, and I'm gonna put the house to get address. So if is valid is not valid, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be returning response entity dot, or actually I'm gonna be throwing a new, let's say, runtime exception, illegal, or not a valid house. Let's just keep it this way. Great. So let's say this is a different API that we're calling, and is valid house is something that's that is not right. Like, there is something wrong with this API. The service, let's say, it's down. There's some kind of unexpected error that's happening in the different APIs that we call, and you can't really like make sure of this. Like, you can't really 100% guarantee that the different microservices that we are call, or the different APIs that you call, is always up and running. So what happened here in the adding new, this one here, you would want to make sure that the different API always call to get like a response of valid. So we're gonna be needing a Mockito. Mockito is something in order to mock behavior. We want to mock some kind of behavior. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna want to return always true when the different API which was called is valid here, and yes, is valid house, and I want, if it retrieved any whatever it retrieved as an input, I want you to be always returning true, because I don't really know what's gonna be returned from this API. That's something that you need to be aware of. And when you're using a mocking mechanism, then you can use mock or mockbean, depending if it's within the Spring context or it's not Spring context. So mock is from Mockito, mockbean is from a Spring framework. So I'm gonna use mock. I'm not sure if it's gonna be working fine or not, to be honest. And it's gonna be private what's called different API, and that's basically it. Now let's rerun our project and see if it's gonna be working. And yeah, hopefully it does. But yeah, this is making sense, because I didn't really made any like context here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some kind of config. This config here is gonna be this is just dump config for different API. This is usually a thin client. Actually, why not we make it like thin client? Let's do it. Like, we have time. Generate thin client for a different API, and call it different API. Let's just call it this way. Yeah, let's do it here because, like, why not? Like, I feel like this is a bit important for you guys to know, because we don't really always have control across the external systems that we have. Um, and this is why Mockito comes into play and provide us with kind of good behavior. Um, okay, so we're gonna be using the Fin client, and yes, let's do it now. Add it here. Let's add our Fin client here. And this is the dependency management. Do we really need it? I don't really think so. It's already supposedly, I believe it's gonna be taking, since we're using oh yeah, it's the Spring Framework Cloud. Okay, so unfortunately we need it. Do we have dependency management? Okay, we don't really have it, so we're just gonna take it, put it above the plugins. Yeah, and let's run it here. Let's see. Oh yeah, we need to put it in above dependencies, shouldn't we? Oh, where does it look? Isn't it in this position? Dependency, yeah, okay, so under the dependency, for some reason it does not work, I don't know why. Okay, so reload all projects. Non-resolvable import. What is non-resolvable? So sync project. Okay. Okay, so I just want to end this with open fin maven repository. I want just to get the version 4. Let's call it 5.00 and call it a day. And for the dependency management, just okay, don't really need to waste my time. Okay, you're downloading so many stuff, which is basically fine. I don't really care. I only care about the Fin client this time. Okay, so while it gets downloading, so what I'm gonna do, I need to enable the Fin clients in our project. Yes. So this is a Fin client. And now we need to have the configuration for our URL for our different API, which is basically I call it some kind of dummy value here. Usually we call it, like, for example, the main project that we have, and this is like a different configuration for our Fin client, or actually our different API configurations. Like, we do it like this way from my point of view. And yes, so now we need to have our Fin client. Let's do it here. This is a different API. Also, let me just fix it a bit here. So we need a package for integration, and this package for integration, we're gonna put this integration in it. And yeah, it's gonna be a Fin client. Let's also copy the import that we have, and I will name it different API here, and I will rename it to be client, to be comma Fin client. Okay, so client, remove this, or actually I need this one here. It's gonna be something like this one. Yes. So version 1 URL, or actually let's call it is valid or not. That's basically what we're gonna be calling it, and it's gonna be a request body. Yeah, let's put it this way. And we don't really need this one here. It's just is valid house with address, and we have a body here. This is a different API call, and this is example. We don't really care. We need to add. We don't really need to have anything else, and Perfect. We don't really need anything else. Okay. So now what happens here? We have our house service. We have different API clients. We have different API client. This different API client is gonna be different projects. This different we call it through a different URL. This different URL takes an input. This input is an address. So sometimes you need to have some kind of mocking happening here because you don't really know what's gonna work or not gonna work. For example, what happens? We want always to get like a valid house in our case. So every time now we get like, and let's call it different here, different API code. Now is is valid house. So we want always to return true when you're calling this different API. That's basically what we want to do. Sometimes, like for example, now if we run this application, it should be working fine. If if you find now the package and rerun it, most probably you will find that there is some kind of missing branch here. Yeah. So what is wrong with this one here? Different API URL is malformed. Okay, this is basically due to the we have the different paths here, so we need to have different API actually project. But yeah, that's basically what I have missed. Yeah, unfortunately. So yeah, that's what I had missed, and this one should be running fine. Hopefully. What's wrong? When is null? Okay, so this one, yeah. Since did you remember when I mentioned that hey, this is related to a Mockito, while Mockbean is related to Spring Framework? Mockbean, is it Mock? I'm not sure. Usually it was Mockbean, but I don't really know they changed its name in the later versions. But yeah, it's like the bean itself is related to the Spring ecosystem. So the Fin client is now registered in the whole Spring ecosystem. So Mockito Bean should probably solve. Yeah, it solved our problem, and now it's running. And if we try to our package right now, you will find out that hey, the service that we have, the house service create, is no longer fully 100% guaranteed coverage. Why? Because we know now, unfortunately, as a matter of fact, that we have a branch that is not covered in case our, if we refresh it, if our case is not valid house. So we need to write a unit test for this one here. So what I'm gonna do now, it's gonna be add test. I'm gonna copy just one here because I don't really want to start from scratch. So what I'm gonna do now, when we're creating then a new house, then return error due to different API. That's basically what I'm gonna be doing. So I don't really want to be true for this one. I want to be false. I want it to be like this is not really expected behavior. So it's, for this one here, it's gonna be I believe it's gonna be internal error, and I don't really want to validate on anything, so I'm just gonna remove all those, and I don't really need the results. And yeah, let's rerun this project. I mean this unit test, and see how it's gonna happen. But I believe it's gonna be running internal server error. Why did it not a valid house? It should have made the response at least. Yeah, because we don't really have an exception handler. This is why it's making this kind of behavior. Okay, so it makes sense, since we don't really have this kind of a wrapper across it. So this is why it happens. So in order to fix this, what I'm gonna do, since we don't really have this one here, I'm gonna put something bit response entity dot status. It's gonna be 500, which is basically internal. I'm actually gonna use HTTP serve status dot internal with body. Uh, Actually, the body should be an error body, but just for the sake of simplicity here, hmm, what should I? Look, this is it will take a bit more time in order just to make it more optimized. So for the sake of explanation, to be honest, I'm gonna do something here. For example, assert truth, and it's gonna be runtime exception, and I want just to include all this, like when it happens, and it's gonna be like assert that hey, there is some kind of runtime exception that happens. So just to save up some time, but the better approach is you have your own generic exception handler. You catch this runtime exception and you map it to uh, response. Okay, so what's wrong? Okay, so the actual so internally runtime gets converted into servlet exception, which is yeah, it's just some kind of exception here. Which regardless, it's not really the best way to catch it. You need um, to be like and actually select here is misleading because it wouldn't really work, and yeah, because it's just the fact from that you're posting it fails there. So that's basically let's clean up this one here, custom breaks, and now if you package this one here, you will find that hey, you're gonna be covering 100%. Another information that might be a bit important to you, sometimes you don't really want just to return true. You don't really want this one. You want to throw an exception. So what do you do? So if you want to throw exception, you do something like use throw, and you can say, let's say, illegal state exception, and you can say post like hello or whatever reason this is an error. Let's hide them even just for a second, and now we can remove this one here, and when in the same this is a way of doing stuff. Also you can remove all this and you can just put this class. It also works this way. You can try to Mockito some kind of any of your type, or you can specify some kind of equality. This is also an approach that you can use. Basically those are the ways that you can do when you're working with an external system. And if you refresh this page right now, everything is covered 100%. This is a config that I forgot that we needed to remove, and rerun again. I just want to leave this project for you guys. 100% coverage, 100% branches, everything is almost crystal clear that is covered. And yeah, so this is the approach that we had, the resources that we also have. And yeah, if you refresh now, why haven't I removed the config yet? I have removed it, right? Like, why did it not really reflect? I have no idea. Okay, so basically the next step is gonna be, of course, this project is not really there. Like, this file is not there. I don't really know why it's saying this. Like, hey, my friend, or how? Maybe I need to clean. Yeah, most probably I need to clean first. Yeah. This is most probably because it's available in the target, and the target is the file that gets measured, and since it was available in the target, it was showing it here, but the file doesn't really exist. Like, if you see here, like, there is almost nothing that's being mentioned. Okay, so if I for under 4 is not found, let's refresh again. Okay, maybe because yeah, we have cleaned it. Let's open the site. It's available in site here, Chrome. Open it. Everything is crystal clear. Great. So I know this video is a bit long, but I just wanted to show you how you unit test and how you integrate integration testing, and how can you mock some kind of behavior such as mock and mock bean, and how can you throw exception or just return some specific value, and covering almost every single line you write. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you felt like this is kind of informative to you, feel free to inform me. Also, if you want some kind of explanation about different topic, feel free also to inform me, and I will be gladly making a video. Hopefully you enjoyed this content so far, and see you next time. Bye bye.